people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Steve Jobs. Have you ever been called weird, too much, or even a witch, just because you think differently, feel deeply, or refuse to follow the crowd? If so, you're in the right place. Today's video is for all the chosen ones out there, the ones who see through lies, sense energy shifts, and often feel like outsiders in their own world. Let's be honest. Narcissists don't like people they can't control, and when you refuse to play their mind games, they get scared. Not scared of you, but of your power, your peace, your purpose, and your presence. It all threatens their fake reality. So what do? They call you names. They try to flip the script. They might even call you a witch. But don't worry, that's not an insult. It's a clue that you're dangerously different in the best way. You're not meant to be normal. You're meant to be a light in a dark world, and narcissists can't stand that. In this video, we'll explore the 8 real reasons why narcissists are triggered by you, and why they often label chosen ones as something dark just because they can't dim your light. So if you've ever felt misunderstood, stay with me till the end. This might explain more than you ever realized. Don't forget to show love in the comments, share your experience, and join our growing community of soul-led truth speakers. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. You're chosen. And chosen ones always stand out. Let's dive in. Some people don't like it when you think for yourself. They want you to follow their rules, agree with everything they say, and never speak up when something feels wrong. But when you choose to stand your ground and be true to who you are, those same people may start calling you names. They may say you're weird, too much, or even something as strange and dramatic as a witch. Why? Because they couldn't control you. Here's the truth. People who try to control others don't like anyone who is confident, calm, and unbothered. When you don't react the way they want you to, it frustrates them. They can't pull your strings like a puppet, so they flip the story. Instead of admitting they're losing control, they say, "You're the problem." That's where the name-calling begins. Being called a witch or intimidating doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. In fact, it usually means there's something very right with you. You have something they don't. A strong inner light, a powerful voice, and a mind that doesn't just follow blindly. That makes you different. And different can feel dangerous to people who live in fear and ego. You might notice that the ones who label you the most are the ones who once tried to control you the hardest. When that didn't work, they turned to blame. But that blame is not yours to carry. Their words are not a reflection of your truth. They are a reaction to your strength. So if someone once made you feel small for being too much, remember this. Your too much is exactly what this world needs. The way you think, feel, question, and challenge is a gift. And people who can't understand that will try to tear it down. Let them talk. Let them call you names. You don't have to explain your light to those who are afraid of the fire. Keep shining. You're not cursed. You're chosen. And narcissists can smell it from miles away. There's something about you they can't quite explain, something powerful, unshakable, and different. You walk into a room and carry a calm confidence. You notice what others miss. You hear what's not being said. You feel when something's off, even if everyone else is fooled. That's not a curse. That's a gift. Narcissists, though, don't see it that way. To them, your strength is a threat. Your calmness makes them nervous. Your self-worth, even if you're still figuring it out, scares them more than someone who blindly follows them. Why? Because they thrive on control, and people like you can't be controlled. They watch you, test you, push you, but nothing works the way they want it to. You don't react with drama. You don't beg for attention. You see through their games, and you stay in your truth. That makes them feel powerless, and that's their biggest fear. So what do? They flip the script. They'll say, "You're too cold, too emotional, too distant, too intense." Some might even call you dark or a witch. But it's not because you are those things, it's because your presence reminds them of what they are not. You carry an energy that doesn't beg to be liked. That kind of energy can't be faked, and it can't be controlled. That's why they attack. It's not hate, it's fear. Because deep down, they know you're not ordinary. You're here to shift things, break patterns, and wake people up. You're not cursed, you're chosen. And chosen ones don't need to shout to be heard. They are the message. Narcissists attack what they don't understand, and you're spiritually coded to be misunderstood. Your presence is different. You move with quiet strength, speak with purpose, and don't follow the usual scripts that people expect. You may not always fit in, and that's not by accident, it's by design. You weren't made to blend in, you were made to break patterns, challenge illusions, and bring truth where others fear it. And that's exactly why narcissists target you. Narcissists rely on control, power, and image. They study people to figure out what makes them tick, what they want, what they fear, and how to manipulate them. But when they meet someone like you, someone who's deeply intuitive, emotionally intelligent, and spiritually grounded, their usual tricks fall flat. You don't respond the way others do. You see through fake charm. You sense the hidden intentions behind their words. You stay calm in chaos. And that unnerves them, because narcissists fear what they can't define, what they can't predict, and most of all, what they can't dominate. So they lash out, not because you've done something wrong, but because your very being disturbs the false world they've built. Your energy is unfamiliar, and instead of being curious about it, they attack it. They call you names, twist your words, and try to make you doubt yourself. But here's the deeper truth. Your spiritual coding is meant to confuse the wrong people. It protects you from fake connections. It makes the darkness uncomfortable. Your soul speaks a language only the right hearts will understand. So if people have misunderstood you, judged you, or feared your presence without reason, it's not your fault, it's your light. You weren't made to be explained. You were made to be felt. And those who try to control others will never be able to grasp the depth of someone who was never meant to be controlled in the first place. Your presence threatens their illusion, because you see through it. Narcissists build their entire world around image. Everything they do is carefully shaped to look powerful, charming, successful, or in control, but none of it is real. It's a mask, a performance. And while many people fall for it, you don't. You have something rare, a sharp intuition that feels lies before words are even spoken. You pick up on subtle energy shifts, micro-expressions, things left unsaid. You notice the cracks in the perfect smile, the emptiness behind the compliments, the manipulation hiding in plain sight. You don't just see what they show, you see what they're hiding. That's why your presence alone feels threatening to them. Not because you expose them out loud, but because you can't be fooled. And someone who can't be fooled is someone they can't control. You don't need proof, you feel the truth. And when a narcissist realizes you see beyond their mask, panic sets in. Not always openly, but deep inside, they feel exposed, vulnerable. Naked in the presence of someone who doesn't need to be told what's going on because they already know. So they do what they do best, attack. They may mock you, question your sanity, twist your reality. They'll try to make you look like the problem. But don't be fooled. This is just fear in disguise. You weren't made to live in illusion. You were made to pierce through it. Your intuitive gift is powerful. It's uncomfortable for people who survive by pretending. You hold a mirror up to their false identity and they hate what they see, not because of you, but because of the truth you represent. And no matter how much they try, they can't hide from someone born to see clearly. They call you a witch because you carry wisdom older than their manipulation. You're not just smart, you're ancient. Not in age, but in essence. There's something about your energy that feels like it's been here before, that it knows things others don't, that it remembers truths the world has tried to forget. You walk through life with eyes that have seen through lifetimes, and that alone makes people stop and stare. But narcissists don't just stare, they feel threatened. They sense that you can't be tricked with surface-level charm or shallow games. You don't get lost in illusions, you feel what's real, and that makes their false reality start to crumble. To most, you're calm and kind, but to a narcissist, you're dangerous, Not because you harm, but because you disarm. Your silence reveals their noise. Your peace makes their chaos loud. You carry ancient energy, an inner knowing, a still strength, a connection to something greater that can't be explained, only felt. It's not something you learned, it's something you are. That's why you often feel out of place in modern spaces, why you crave depth over small talk, truth over trends, soul over status. You were born for more than fitting in. You were born to remember who you are, and remind others too. But narcissists don't want people to remember. They want them to forget their power, their truth, their worth. And when someone like you enters their world, someone who naturally carries the light of remembrance, they panic. You don't need to expose them. Your very presence feels like exposure. They can't lie to you without feeling seen. They can't manipulate you without sensing resistance. And that resistance doesn't come from anger. It comes from something deeper. It comes from the quiet power of knowing who you are, where you stand, and what you refuse to allow. So they label you witch, too much, weird, intense. They use names to box you in because they can't handle what they can't define. But those labels are only proof of your power. They're echoes of fear from those who've built their lives on control. Your ancient energy reminds them of a time when truth was sacred and manipulation had no place. That memory may be buried deep, but your energy brings it back into and it shakes their false world. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to fight to be seen. You've already been felt. Your wisdom speaks before you open your mouth. Your soul shines in silence. The ones meant for you will recognize that depth, and the ones who fear it will call it names. Let them. Their words say more about their fear than your truth. Keep walking, keep shining, keep remembering, because in a world full of illusions, you are the ancient reminder that some truths can never be silenced. You don't curse them, you mirror them, and that's what haunts them. See, you were never the villain in their story, but when a narcissist looks at you, they don't truly see you. They see the parts of themselves they've buried, denied, or tried to hide from the world. And suddenly, they need someone to blame. That someone is often you, not because you did something wrong, but because your very presence reflects something they can't stand to look at, their own darkness. You don't need to speak a word. Just standing in your truth, just existing in your natural light, makes their shadows twitch. Because unlike others who play along or look the other way, you notice, you see the cracks in the mask. You feel the hidden anger, the insecurity under the arrogance, the deep emptiness behind the fake confidence. And even if you don't call it out, they know you see it. That's the danger of being a mirror. You don't attack, you reveal. And narcissists can't handle being seen without their armor. They rely on manipulation to keep people confused, but you bring clarity. They rely on control, but your intuition makes you unpredictable. They want to be worshipped, but your energy says, I see you, and I'm not impressed. So they project. They twist reality. Suddenly you're the toxic one, you're the dramatic one, you're the cold one. They project their guilt, their shame, their fear onto you. Not because it fits, but because it helps them escape accountability. Blaming you is easier than facing themselves, but don't let their projections make you question your light. Narcissists don't lash out at the weak or they lash out at the strong, at those who can see through them. At those who are mirrors, not masks. You didn't curse them, you simply reflected what was already there, and that truth is what truly haunts them. You operate outside the system, and that's exactly why they fear you. Narcissists thrive on control, structure, and manipulation. They create silent rules and invisible contracts, expecting others to follow without question. They rely on predictability. If they do this, you'll react that way. If they guilt you, you'll apologize. If they flatter you, you'll stay. But when someone like you comes along, someone who doesn't play by their rules, doesn't chase their approval, and doesn't shrink to fit inside their system, it disrupts everything. You become a variable they can't predict, a force they can't bend. You're free, and that freedom is a threat. You don't need them to tell you who you are. You've already done the inner work to find your voice, your path, your truth. You don't beg for validation. You don't trade your peace for their attention. You don't perform to be liked or play weak to be accepted. That kind of autonomy is powerful, and in the hands of someone aware and spiritually grounded like you, it becomes dangerous to anyone who survives by controlling others. To the narcissist, your independence feels like defiance, but it isn't. It's simply self-respect. You're not trying to rebel or hurt them, you're just being you, fully and unapologetically. And that alone dismantles their whole game, because if they can't manipulate you, they can't win. If they can't predict you, they can't control you. If they can't dominate you, they feel powerless. So they'll try to twist your freedom into arrogance, your strength into stubbornness, your authenticity into strangeness. They'll say, you think you're better, or you're too intense, or even you're a witch. Not because it's true, but because it's the only way they can make sense of the fact that you're not afraid to live outside the script they wrote. You were never meant to fit into broken systems. You were meant to move beyond them, and by doing so, you break every chain they hoped would hold you. Your peace disturbs their chaos, and they can't stand the contrast. In a world that often thrives on drama, noise, and constant motion, your calm presence is like a still pool of water amidst a raging storm. Narcissists live in a state of constant turbulence, driven by their need for control, admiration, and validation. Their minds are perpetually restless, always shifting between grandiose fantasies, insecurity, and manipulation tactics. It's a cycle they can't escape, a storm they've learned to live within. But then there's you, a person whose energy doesn't react to their chaos, but instead settles into peace. You don't mirror their anxiety, you don't feed into their games, you don't get swept away by their emotional hurricanes. Instead, you anchor yourself in stillness, grounded in your own inner world, where you find balance no matter what's happening around you. That's your power. To a narcissist, your peace is a threat they can't comprehend. Their world is built on manipulation, drama, and control. They need others to feel just as chaotic as they do so they can maintain their sense of dominance. But your tranquility is an entirely different force. It stands in stark contrast to everything they know. It's a reminder that they don't need to be constantly on, that they don't need to force things into being. Your calm energy exposes their inner storm and they can't stand it. Your peace makes their lies louder. It makes their instability glaringly obvious. When you stay calm in the face of their anger, when you remain centered when they try to unsettle you, it highlights just how out of control they truly are. And that's why they'll try to break your peace. They'll try to provoke you, drag you into their drama, make you doubt yourself. But here's the truth, they can't steal your peace. Your inner calm is a fortress that no amount of manipulation can breach. It's not passive, it's powerful. You've learned to cultivate your own sense of worth and grounding, not reliant on external validation or validation from the narcissist. And that's why they'll never understand you. You don't need their chaos to define you. You don't need their approval to stay balanced. So when they try to pull you into their emotional whirlwind, stand firm in your peace. That's the power they fear most, because the more you hold your ground, the more their instability becomes clear to everyone around them. Your peace is a mirror reflecting the depth of their chaos, and that's something they can never control. You have spiritual gifts they can't explain, and that's what terrifies them. Your intuition goes beyond ordinary insight. It's like a hidden radar that picks up on things most people can't see, hear, or feel. You don't just sense the surface level of situations, you feel the deeper, unspoken truths. You know things without being told. You feel emotions in the room before anyone speaks. You can often see through someone's intentions, picking up on subtle cues that others miss. To you, this isn't magic or coincidence, it's just your gift. But to a narcissist, it's a threat. Narcissists live in a world built on appearances, manipulation, and control. They create narratives to shape how others see them, but when someone like you enters their world, their illusion starts to crack. They can't control you because you're not fooled. Your gift allows you to see right through their false masks and manipulative games, and that's something they can't stand. They can't explain it, so they label it. They call you too intense, too sensitive, or even crazy. They try to dismiss your intuition as something irrational because they can't understand it. In their ego-driven world, everything has to be controlled, defined, and explainable. Your natural ability to pick up on energies and truths that lie beyond what's visible challenges everything they believe in. It makes them uncomfortable because they can't manipulate or predict someone who sees past their smoke and mirrors. Instead of accepting that you have an ability they lack, they try to discredit you. If they can't control or dominate you through charm or power, they resort to labeling you as mysterious or eccentric. But in reality, your gifts are nothing more than a deep connection to your higher self, a spiritual sensitivity that allows you to navigate the world in ways they can't even comprehend. They need to keep their world wrapped in confusion where they control the narrative. You, however, live in a space of clarity, and that's where their power begins to falter. Their insecurity grows when they realize that no matter how hard they try, they can't fool you. You see what they're hiding, and that's the one thing they can't manipulate. In the end, the more they try to label you, the more they reveal their fear of your spiritual gifts. Your intuition is a reminder that there are truths beyond their reach, and no matter how much they attempt to distort reality, they can never take away your connection to what's real. You're a healer, not a follower, and that's exactly why narcissists can't handle your presence. In a world where many seek validation, approval, and admiration, your purpose is different. You weren't born to fit into the mold of societal expectations or follow the crowd. You weren't designed to blend in with those who are only interested in playing it safe or keeping things comfortable. No, you're here to shake things up, to challenge the status quo, and most importantly, to heal. But this kind of energy doesn't sit well with narcissists. Narcissists crave blind admiration. They live for the attention, the praise, and the validation that comes from others, constantly affirming their superiority. They surround themselves with people who are either too intimidated or too eager to please, individuals who will reflect their own inflated self-image back to them. Narcissists thrive in environments where their truth is the only truth, and their actions are unquestioned. They don't want to hear about their flaws, their mistakes, or their shadows. They prefer to live in a bubble of self-importance with no interruptions or uncomfortable truths, and that's where you come in. You don't feed into their need for blind adoration. Instead, you bring something far more powerful. Truth. Sometimes uncomfortable, always honest, your presence acts as a mirror to their falsehoods. You don't sugarcoat reality. You don't stay quiet when you see something that needs to be addressed. And this is a direct threat to their carefully constructed world. Narcissists can't control you because you don't play along with their games. You're not interested in flattering their egos or feeding their delusions. Instead, you're here to open eyes, shift perspectives, and ultimately guide people toward the truth, even if it's not what they want to hear. When you stand in your own power and speak your truth, it disrupts their narrative. They're used to manipulating and bending others to their will. But when they encounter someone like you, someone who isn't afraid to challenge, question, and expose, it's a blow to their fragile sense of control. They need everyone to agree with their version of reality, to follow their lead without questioning it. But you won't do that, and that's why they see you as a threat. But don't mistake their resistance for rejection of who you are. It's not you they fear, it's the truth you carry. You're a healer, not a follower, and that means you have the power to inspire change, to shift energy, and to awaken the dormant awareness in others. This is the gift you offer, not just admiration, but awakening. Narcissists may try to put you down, label you, or make you feel like you're too much, but the truth is, you're exactly what the world needs. You're not here to be liked. You're here to wake people up, to lead them toward growth, healing, and empowerment. And in doing so, you disrupt the false worlds built by narcissists, revealing the raw, unfiltered truth that many are too afraid to see. So keep speaking your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. The world needs it, and those who are ready for it will awaken, just as they were meant to. You don't fear isolation. In fact, solitude strengthens you in ways others can't understand. While most people dread being alone, feeling abandoned or isolated, you find power in those quiet moments of solitude. To the narcissist, silence is one of their most effective weapons. They use it as a form of punishment. When they withdraw their attention or affection, they believe they can break you, make you chase after them, or force you to submit. They see isolation as a way to control, a way to remind you of your dependency on them. But for someone like you, solitude is not something to fear. It's something you embrace, something you turn into your strength. The truth is, while narcissists thrive on attention, validation, and emotional manipulation, you've learned to find peace within yourself. You don't need the approval of others to feel whole. You don't chase after affection or cling to shallow relationships. When you are left alone, instead of feeling abandoned, you feel liberated. You have the ability to turn that loneliness into an opportunity for growth and self-reflection. You don't fear being isolated because you've learned how to fill that space with healing, with introspection, and with the inner strength that comes from standing alone without needing anyone to validate your existence. Isolation, for you, is where transformation happens. It's where you reconnect with your true self, realign with your purpose, and find the clarity that the noise of the outside world often clouds. You understand the power of your own energy, and when you're alone, you're not lonely. You're fully connected to your soul, to your spiritual strength, and to the universe that guides you. You don't need the narcissist's attention to feel seen. You already see yourself. While others may break down in isolation, feeling abandoned and insignificant, you rise. You use the time alone to reflect, to heal, and to recharge. It's during these moments of solitude that you find your inner power, making you stronger and more resilient than ever. Narcissists may believe they can punish you by withdrawing their presence or silence, but in reality, they've only handed you a gift, the chance to reconnect with your inner power and transform. For the narcissist, isolation feels like a threat. For you, it's a tool for growth. They may see it as a way to control you, but in truth, you've mastered the art of standing strong on your own. In isolation, you don't shrink or fade away. You become even more empowered. Solitude, instead of weakening you, strengthens your resolve, enhances your clarity, and reinforces your spiritual connection. While others are fearful of being alone, you stand as proof that sometimes it's only in the quiet moments of solitude that true transformation can take place. The truth is, you were never meant to fit in. You were born to disrupt patterns, to break free from the ordinary, and to challenge the status quo. In a world that loves conformity, it's easy to think there's something wrong with being different, but the reality is that your uniqueness is your greatest strength. While others may fear stepping outside the lines, you have the power to create your own path, to rewrite the rules, and to show the world that being different isn't something to hide, it's something to celebrate. Think about it. The people who change the world, the ones who leave a lasting impact, are rarely the ones who follow the crowd. They're the rebels, the visionaries, the ones who see the world through a different lens and dare to act on it. And that's exactly what you're here to do. You're not meant to blend in with the masses or conform to societal expectations. You're meant to stand out, to inspire others to embrace their true selves, and to pave the way for change. When people label you as different, they're not criticizing you, they're acknowledging the power you hold. It's uncomfortable for them to see someone who refuses to fit into the mold because your presence challenges everything they believe about what's normal. Your individuality makes them question their own limitations, their own choices, and that's exactly why they try to push you down or make you feel like you don't belong. But instead of shrinking back, embrace it. Wear your uniqueness like a badge of honor. Being different doesn't mean you're less than, it means you have something special to offer, a perspective, a gift, a vision that no one else can provide. So next time someone tries to label you as too much, strange, or out of place, remember that they're just seeing your light before they're ready to understand it. Don't shrink away from being yourself. Own your individuality, because the world needs more people who aren't afraid to stand up, speak out, and show others that being different is exactly what makes you extraordinary. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to disrupt, to challenge, and to inspire. Your difference is your power, so step into it boldly. You carry the mark of the chosen, a quiet, undeniable power that radiates from within. It's not loud, not flashy, and not the kind of attention-seeking energy that demands to be noticed. But make no mistake, when you walk into a room, everything shifts. Your presence commands attention, not through noise or force, but through an aura that others can't help but feel. That's the kind of power that narcissists, and even many people in general, struggle to understand, and it's exactly why they can't replicate it. The truth is, the mark of the chosen is subtle. It's not about being the loudest or the most outwardly powerful. Instead, it's about possessing an inner strength, a calm yet unshakable energy that influences everything around you. People notice it, even if they don't always understand it. Some are drawn to you, feeling an inexplicable pull toward your energy, while others, those who are more comfortable in the shallow waters of ego, will see you as a threat. Your quiet power unnerves them because it doesn't conform to their understanding of strength. They've been taught that power is about domination, noise, and control, but you show them a different way. You don't need to shout to be heard, don't need to manipulate to make your mark. Your very presence shifts the energy in a room, not by overpowering others, but by radiating an inner peace and strength that others can't ignore. But here's the thing, while some will be magnetically drawn to your energy, others will fear it. The narcissist is terrified of your power, not because they can't dominate it, but because they can't control it. You don't need their approval, their validation, or their influence. You've already tapped into something deeper, something that they, despite all their manipulations, can't touch. That's why they'll demonize it. They'll call you too much, too intense, or too different, because your light shines in a way they can't replicate. They try to label your strength as something negative, something to be feared or criticized, because it exposes their own lack of authenticity. They know that your power, which doesn't rely on manipulation or ego, is the kind of strength they'll never have. And that terrifies them, but let them try. Your quiet power is yours to keep, and no amount of criticism or attempts to dim your light will ever change that. You are the chosen one, and your mark is unmistakable. Embrace it. Let it shine. The world needs your presence now more than ever. When they've called you a witch, a rebel, or a threat, what they're really doing is labeling something they don't understand, and that something is your light. In a world where conformity is praised, and standing out is often seen as a danger to the norm, those who dare to be different are usually the first to be attacked. But here's the truth, those labels they throw at you aren't curses, they're marks of distinction. The reality is, you're the one with the real light, the kind of light that shakes up systems, questions old beliefs, and challenges people to think beyond the surface. Rather than shrinking away from these labels, it's time to embrace them. You've been called a witch because your power doesn't fit into the neat boxes society tries to create. You've been called a rebel because your refusal to conform to their rules makes them feel threatened. And you've been called a threat because your energy shines so brightly that it exposes the cracks in their carefully constructed illusions. So wear it proudly. Being called these names means you're doing something right. You are the one who doesn't back down, the one who has the courage to speak your truth even when it makes others uncomfortable. You're not the one who's in the wrong. You're the one who is in the right. Your light is not something to be dimmed or hidden. It's something to be celebrated, nurtured, and allowed to grow even brighter. In fact, every time someone calls you a witch, a rebel, or a threat, it's just proof that you're breaking through the barriers they've tried to put in place to control the narrative. These labels are merely the reflection of their own insecurities, their own inability to understand something beyond their limited perspective. By calling you these things, they're unintentionally acknowledging your power, You're the one who dares to live authentically, who dares to challenge the norms, and who isn't afraid to let your light shine in a world that often prefers darkness. So, instead of hiding or shrinking back when you hear these labels, wear them with pride. They're not insults, they're signs that you are exactly where you're meant to be. You are a force of change, a beacon of truth, and the world needs your light more than ever. You're not their villain, you're their mirror, their lesson, their awakening. This truth carries a powerful shift in perspective, one that not only changes how you view the world, but also how you view your own role in it. When people see you as a threat, as someone who challenges their comfort zone or upsets their status quo, it's easy to feel misunderstood or even demonized. But what if, instead of being the villain in their story, you were actually the catalyst for their growth? As a chosen one, your purpose is not to conform, not to fit neatly into the boxes others try to place you in. You are here to provoke thought, to question the norms, and to offer a mirror to those who need it most. To them it may feel uncomfortable, even harsh, but in reality, you're holding up a reflection of their own weaknesses, fears, and limitations, things they might not even be willing to see or acknowledge. Imagine the discomfort of being faced with your own reflection, especially when it shows parts of you that you've been avoiding or hiding. For many, this is a painful process. They've lived their lives avoiding self-reflection, numbing themselves with distractions or lies they've told themselves. And here you come, someone who refuses to blend in, someone whose very presence forces them to confront things they've been running from. You may be met with resistance, judgment, and rejection, but your role is crucial. You are the one they need to grow, even if they don't realize it yet. You are not their villain, though they may try to paint you as one. The truth is, they need you. They need your authenticity, your strength, and your unwavering ability to stand in your truth. You represent everything they wish they could be, unapologetically themselves, free of the masks they wear to hide their insecurities. Your presence is a reminder that they are not living in alignment with their true selves. You, by simply existing as your true self, become the lesson they can no longer ignore. This is why they will often react with anger, judgment, or even fear towards you. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't seek approval or validation. They can't manipulate you because you've already broken free from the chains of their control. So instead of seeing you as a mirror that reflects the discomfort they need to face, they will cast you in the role of the villain. They will try to turn your light into something negative, something threatening, because it forces them to confront their own darkness. But this is where your strength lies. Being a mirror isn't an easy role. It's not glamorous, and it's often thankless, but it's essential. In a world full of people too scared to look at themselves honestly, you provide the space for awakening. You force them to see the truth, whether they're ready or not. And even when they fight against it, even when they push you away, the lesson you've given them doesn't disappear. It stays with them, quietly influencing their choices, their growth, their journey toward self-awareness. This is the paradox of the chosen one. You're often the one who feels the weight of being misunderstood, the burden of being labeled as too much or too different. But you are exactly what the world needs. You are the one who challenges them to evolve, to rise above their fears, and to let go of the limiting beliefs they've clung to for so long. You are their lesson, even when they resist it. You are their awakening, even when they try to turn away. So instead of seeing yourself as the villain in their story, embrace your role as their mirror. Understand that you are doing what's necessary, even if it's uncomfortable for everyone involved. You are the spark that ignites change, the one who shows them a path they didn't even know existed. You're not here to make life easier for them, but to help them see the truth and become better for it. In the end, your presence isn't about being liked, being understood, or even being accepted. It's about being the lesson they need, the wake-up call they can't ignore. Your power lies in your ability to stand firm in your truth, no matter how much they resist or how much they try to push you away. You are not their villain. You are their mirror, their lesson, and ultimately They're awakening, and that is a gift the world desperately needs. Remember, real power doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't shout, doesn't seek validation, and it certainly doesn't bend to the will of others. Real power simply exists. It's a quiet force that emanates from within, steady and unwavering, no matter how loud the world becomes. As you walk in your truth, as you stand firmly in the essence of who you are, the world around you will react. Some will be drawn to you, others will be intimidated, and still others will try to label you too much, too different, too powerful. But you'll know the truth. Their labels can't touch you. Keep walking in your truth, even when it feels like no one understands. Keep shining, even when it feels like the world is dimming its lights, because the world will see your power, even if they can't explain it. They'll call it magic. They'll call it something mystical, something beyond their comprehension, but it's not magic. It's you. It's the quiet strength that radiates from your every action, every word, every choice you make to stay true to who you are. Your power doesn't need to be loud or boastful. It's in the way you carry yourself with grace in the face of challenges. It's in the way you continue forward, even when others would have given up. It's in the way you hold space for yourself and others without ever compromising your authenticity. And when they call it magic, you'll know it's not magic, it's truth. And that, my friend, is the most powerful thing of all. So let them call it magic, let them call it anything they want. What they're really witnessing is your ability to stay grounded in who you are, despite the noise and chaos around you. It's the quiet confidence that doesn't seek approval, the inner peace that cannot be disturbed. In the end, you'll realize that the strongest force you possess isn't found in the external world. It's found in the calm, in the stillness, in the unshakable truth that you carry within. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about standing firm in your authenticity, knowing that your energy will speak for itself. And that, my friend, is the kind of power that doesn't need to shout. It just is.